In order to make choices that are best for you, please note that this episode does include lengthy discussions of suicide.
Welcome to Lit Vibes Only, where we lit the shit out of books we love and hate. I'm Kelsey, the unhinged, diehard romantic and fantasy reader.
And I'm Amanda, the insightful thrill seeker and historical fiction nerd. We are so glad that you've taken time out of your busy day to join us for our second
commute
episode. Your commute for our second Literary Quitted episode for the month of August. Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Hey.
Not already following us on our socials, then make sure to do that at some point during your busy day. We are on Instagram at litvibesonly_podcast. And we are also on TikTok and YouTube at Lit Vibes Only Podcast. So make sure to do all the things like follow, comment, subscribe if you're not already doing all the things. And most importantly, we would love it so much if you could take a moment to rate and review us wherever you are listening to this podcast, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Spotify or another major podcasting platform. We are almost at our 1 year anniversary. We're literally a month away. We're so close. We're so
like
so
less
excited.
than a month, really.
Yeah, actually less than a month. Yeah, because this will be halfway through August. You're right.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks.
It was September 4th.
Yes. And if you want to give us an anniversary gift, the best gift you can give us is a rating and a quick review on either of those platforms, Spotify or Apple Podcast. We would love it so much. And it really will help kind of set us up for our second year and get more folks' eyes and ears on this podcast. So thank you in advance. And then the last thing I'll say super quickly, which we don't always say every episode, but we do try to say it every now and then. We also have an email. So if you happen to be somebody who is not on socials, I know you're out there. Those folks are out there. That's totally fine.
Definitely.
But you would like to get in contact with us beyond writing reviews and giving us ratings, you can email us at litvibesonlypodcast@gmail.com. It's a great place to send your feedback, give us suggestions on what we can do to improve or books you want us to read, or invite us to read an arc. We would love that.
Yes.
We would love to be arc readers.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, send us some advanced reader copies and we would be happy to read and review those books. So that's it. That's my spiel.
Ooh, thank you, Amanda.
You're so welcome.
And yeah, before we get into the wedding people, let's go over the things we're reading right now.
Yeah.
What we're reading.
Well, I've been traveling. I feel like that's all I've been doing this summer so far, which is fantastic, although I'm ready for a break. So I finished a book yesterday and started a new book yesterday.
Okay.
So at the airport, I finished reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. We will be dropping that episode in September. So anytime we have a 5 Monday month, we like to slip in a bonus episode. So that'll be our bonus episode. So stay tuned for that. All of our Sarah J. Maas fans and lovers, because I have a lot to say. And then I started what I'm currently reading and will hopefully finish this evening is Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. So you might know her from books like Big Little Lies. She's an Australian author and I love her style. I haven't read one of her books in a minute. And it was actually Kelsey and I were at Elliott Bay a couple weeks ago before I left to go to the East Coast and saw this book on like the new releases table or like the new books table. So that's what I'm currently reading. It has like a 4-star, I think, on Goodreads. And the premise is essentially like there's a bunch of people on this flight from Hobart to Sydney. This woman gets up on this flight and starts making predictions about when people are going to die and how they're going to die. And everyone's like, okay, what's going on? And then one of her predictions comes true. And comes true. And things kind of spiral from there. So it's really fascinating. We'll definitely be doing a review of that and chatting about that on our socials. So one more reason to follow us on our socials. But yeah, that's what I am getting into right now. What about you, Kelsey? Oh, and I think too, that means I should check, but I think I've officially read, 60 books so far.
Oh, nice.
This year, which is like 10 past my set goal of 50. I think A Court of Silver Flames might have been 60 for me. Yeah. So that's
What
really
a great
exciting.
way to get to 60.
Yes.
I was just looking at my reading challenge. I have 35 books, but I
Nice.
have been like speeding through the
Audiobooks. You
audiobooks
have
this summer
been.
this summer. It's been insane. And the one book that I recently just finished is one that you told me about and that you and your book club are going to be reading this month. It's I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline. I can't read it. Hartman.
Okay.
I just finished that one yesterday, and I
And I
can't
told
give.
Kelsey like no spoilers
Yeah,
because I
no
have not started it.
spoilers.
And I'm really excited to read it.
Tell us what you know about what it's about, so I
Well, I
don't
just
spoil
know
anything for you.
I know the premise, right? So there's a bunch of women who are essentially kept underground in, I don't know,
Yeah,
this bunker. They're not
yeah,
sure like why they're there, what's going on. It's all very
yeah,
mysterious. And then
yeah,
I believe there's like a girl who's kind of the catalyst, I think, for whatever happens next. And again, that's like pretty much all I know from reading the
yeah.
book jacket.
Yep. No, I think you're going to enjoy it. It was very interesting, and I can't wait to talk with you about it
Okay.
and hear what your book club
What the feedback
attendees
is.
say
Yeah.
too. Yeah, because I think it's one that you dive into a bit more than just like, oh yeah, this was a fun story.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely not exactly that. So what I just started this morning is the second book, and The Crowns of Nyaxia, I think is what it's called.
The Crowns
It's
of what?
Nyaxia,
Oh my gosh, who comes up with these names?
these authors or publisher.
Nyaxia. It sounds like
I don't
some
know.
sort of
I
like
think
prescription
that's
medication.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Because yep, it is The Crowns of Nyaxia. But it's called The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. And it's one of the books that you would just like hate again.
Yeah,
But it's the
sounds like I
second.
would.
It's the second one, but it's about vampires. It's so
God.
fun.
I feel like now, anytime I think of vampires, I mean, obviously I think of Twilight, but now I also think of Bride, and those
Bride.
both just leave a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just like, oh, vampires.
Sorry, Amanda. Yeah, I haven't
So
been like much of a
traumatized.
vampire like reader in my adulthood.
Yeah.
So those are really the only books that I've had vampires in was what you were just talking about.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one.
Well, it sounds like you're having a blast.
Oh,
so
yes, I am.
that's fantastic. And I'm glad that you're not going to make me read it. So,
Well, we'll see in the future. So the other thing that we wanted to mention is that Seattle just got its first romance themed bookstore that opened this last Sunday in July. So we're recording in July, but you'll get this episode in August. And so it'll have been open about a month since we chatted about this. And I went Sunday and then I went yesterday because Sunday I went to the store and there was a giant line.
Oh, I saw the photo.
To get in the store. And I was like, what the fuck? And we had heard from other people that they had been in the line for 3 hours before they got into the store. And we're like, okay, we'll come back another day. Like, this is not it.
That's not it. No. Yeah.
So we were able to be patient and we went Tuesday, the next day that they were open. And so the shelves were a little bare, which is like understandable and great for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It's called Love Struck.
Love Struck. Okay. And which neighborhood is it in? Or
It's in Lake City.
Oh, okay. So it's like super close to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great.
Yeah. That's such whoever, I don't know the name of the woman who started, although I've seen her Instagram profile or account.
Yeah.
But that's such a strategic and smart move to open a romance themed bookstore. One, because romance and romantasy is like having its moment. And there's zero competition. I mean, yes, there's other bookstores, but to have one that's specifically focused on that genre and is like all pink and girly, like I mean, I think she's gonna do really well.
Yes, I think so too.
So that was just a great strategic business move on her part.
Yeah, like hundreds of people went out on Sunday. And some people were like, we drove 3 hours to get here.
Oh my God. That's also just speaks to her like getting the word out and like her PR beforehand, like the build up to them opening it. But yeah, that's really impressive. I think I would go just because I'm curious, even though I don't read romance.
Yeah. I mean, I make you read romance sometimes.
Yes.
But I guess there's another romance bookstore in Mill Creek,
Oh,
but it's just not as like cutesy
yeah.
type. Yeah. But I definitely want to go check it out and just see what's up there. And it looks bigger too.
I don't even, where's Mill Creek?
North of like northwest of Bothell.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like right up north from
Y'all,
here.
Kelsey grew up here. I clearly didn't. So I'm still just like, where are we? What are the names of these towns? What
You know where
direction?
Bothell is though, right?
I
Not,
do know
like,
where Bothell.
saying
Yes, that was a good
randomly.
place to like help me orient. I do know Bothell.
Yeah.
But that's really awesome because we've mentioned this before in a previous episode when we were featuring some local bookstores. We have like a STEM bookstore that focuses on like
Oh yeah.
sci-fi and like tech books and manuals, and we have that here in Seattle. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not a romance bookstore. So how cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Oh, and I was going to say, yeah, I went Sundays and there was hundreds of people. We went Tuesday and it was way more chill, but
Okay.
the bookstore was still full. Like, and it's good for Lake City too. If anybody's ever been in Lake City, like it's not a great part of town.
Yeah.
Especially on that main strip.
Yep.
And so it's great for businesses too,
Yeah,
because
just
so
increase
many
some foot
people were
traffic.
there.
Yeah.
Because I never walk that street. And I realized that there was this cute like German coffee shop that had
Nice.
German pretzels and things like that, like
Yeah.
for sale. And so that was great to just see more of my community. So
Yeah.
loved that
Love
too.
that. Yeah. Love a great neighborhood bookstore. Actually, this past week I was on the East Coast kind of revisiting like where I used to live and seeing friends and family and old colleagues. And I lived in Princeton, New Jersey, and got to go to the local kind of neighborhood bookstore in Princeton, which is Labyrinth Books. And yeah, I was just like, I love the way that bookstores bring people together, create community. Yeah, get you kind of out walking the streets so that you're also, being patrons of other local businesses. So support your local bookstores.
Yeah. There's many good reasons to do so.
Yeah. Many, many, many. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to the heart of the matter. I
Yes.
had Kelsey read The Wedding People by Alison Espach, and I personally loved this book. Obviously, that's why I had Kelsey read it. But beyond that, this book has also kind of generated a lot of chatter and conversation on Book Talk and other spaces. It's done really well. It's reviewed really well. It's got a great rating. And I think another reason why I picked it is because, especially for Kelsey's like romantasy books, maybe not so much romance, but certainly romantasy, a lot of the characters tend to be young, right? They're like in their early 20s or late teens. And as, you know, a woman in her 30s, it's nice to read a book that has a female protagonist that is older and closer to a point in life that's similar to mine, that makes it feel more relatable versus just like, oh my gosh, this like 20 something magical fairy woman, you know, it just, I don't know. I liked that. And I personally, I thought this book was really funny, which you'll hear in a moment kind of a summary from Kelsey what the book is about. And so you might be shocked that I found this book funny, but I just thought it was smart and witty and incisive, and just the way that the character speaks and views the world, her interactions with the other characters. I found it hilarious and literally laughed out loud at several points throughout this book. And that can be hard to do when you're writing a book about such heavy topics, you know, like infertility and suicide and depression and infidelity. And the way that she was able to balance that without it feeling like she was like making fun of those things or making light of them, which is really tricky too. So those are all the reasons why I had Kelsey read it. So Kelsey.
Thanks, Amanda.
Was this book, because Kelsey's only given me like one text about this book, like one little brief insight into what she was thinking while she was reading it. So I really have no idea. So Kelsey, was this book a lit it or quit it for you?
And I will add too that we've gotten to a point where we like hide our Goodreads reviews until we do the episode, like record the episode. Because one time I saw yours and I was like, oh, I know what you think of this book.
Oh, yeah.
So to answer your question, Amanda, this was a lit it for me.
Yes! Loved the dramatic pause. Oh my gosh. If you're watching this on YouTube, I just did like a huge thing.
It is rare that Amanda gets a full-on lit it from me.
I know, like no hesitations, not like a soft lit it, just like a solid lit it. I don't know if you've ever given me one actually. Just like
have
a
I?
full on solid lit it, not like hedging it at all.
What about Kindred?
No, because I think you had some issues with it.
I don't remember.
I think it might have been a soft lit it for you because you had some issues. Well, we won't get into it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was a soft lit it. Yeah. Anyhow.
So this is your first.
This is my first, I think.
How does it feel?
We need to go out for celebratory drinks after this. It feels great. Funny. It feels really good.
And we need to get together anyway because I need to give you that book.
So. Yes. And I also need to meet your new dog.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So anyhow, tangent. So Kelsey, you were going to give us a summary.
Yes.
Of what on earth this book was all about.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. Phoebe Stone, a mid-40s college professor, checks into the luxurious Cornwall Inn in Newport, Rhode Island, alone, with no luggage, and plan to end her life. Her marriage ended after her husband's affair and divorce. Her cat died, and she experienced IVF struggles and miscarriages, and she's plagued by grief and depression. Okay. Though she intended a glamorous final weekend, sipping champagne, sailing, and eating oysters, Phoebe is a shadow of her former self, depressed and purposeless. Purposeless?
Purposeless.
Purposeless. When she gets to the hotel, everyone mistakes her for a guest in the big upcoming wedding. The bride, Lila, assumes Phoebe is part of the bridal party and insists she stays. Despite her suicidal plan, Phoebe goes along with it since she's being treated like a person again, and for the first time in ages isn't completely invisible. And so over the week, Phoebe becomes a secret confidant to Lila and emotional anchor. Well, not just for Lila, but mainly Lila and for other wedding guests and family members. She overhears and engages in deep, sometimes hilarious conversations late at night. Her own backstory unfolds, childhood loss. Her mother died at a young age, and the breakdown of her marriage, career stagnation, and the realization that she was never truly living. Phoebe shares unfiltered insights, supporting Lila, bonding with the groom Gary, a widower with a teenage daughter, Juice, navigating tricky family dynamics, and even helping others' relationships thwarted by grief or tension. And so Lila is obsessed with perfection for her $1 million wedding, which that is fucking insane. Initially resents Phoebe's unexpected presence because she was going to unalive herself. And Phoebe also tentatively connects with Jim, a fellow guest, in a subplot mixing humor and messy emotional romance. During the chaos of the weekend, Lila's darker insecurities surface, and Phoebe's size up of everyone's emotional baggage leads to critical turns in relationships. On the day of the wedding, Lila realizes the ceremony isn't built on genuine love and with her fiance, Gary. And Phoebe's presence and honesty helps Lila recognize what she truly feels, leading Lila to cancel the wedding. Gary's daughter, Juice, who has been distant and wary, begins to see Phoebe's kindness and emotional truthfulness. And in the aftermath of all of that taking place, Phoebe survives the week instead of ending her life, and she starts rediscovering purpose through storytelling, human connection, and self-reflection. The novel closes on a note of ambiguous. I could do it, but powerful hope, where Phoebe doesn't have all the solutions, but she's choosing to live, to tear off the facade of being fine and embrace imperfection. Da, 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 da.
Okay. Yeah. That basically sums it up. I think to give like a little bit more specific detail for folks who didn't read it. So over the course of the novel, Phoebe develops feelings for Gary, the groom. So just like kind of clarify that. So they start to have feelings for each other. She first encounters him in the hot tub one night, doesn't realize that he's the groom.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, like he's kind of cute. We have great conversation, etc. Realizes after the fact, this is Lila's husband to be. So that creates some tension.
But also in that moment, she asks him, or says, I want to fuck you or something along those lines.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so he knows her own intentions from that moment and then need to meet the next day as Lila's fiance.
Yes. So there's like that awkward moment there. I think another thing to
Yes.
mention too is that towards the end of the novel, I think it's like the day before the wedding, actually, her ex-husband shows up.
Oh, yes.
He's tracked her down because she hasn't been answering her phone calls, or his phone calls, I should say, and hasn't been responding to his texts. And so he tracks her
Right.
down to the Cornwall Inn because he's concerned. And they have this weird moment where it looks like maybe they could reconcile and move forward as a couple and like let bygones be bygones. But that ultimately isn't the case. She realizes she really does need to start fresh and create a new life and a new chapter for herself. And she ends up also securing a new position for herself, a new job in the area in Rhode Island. She's going to be like caretaking this home and doing some like historical research, I believe. So she really does kind of have this new path opening up to her with like this blossoming relationship with Gary and moving to new locations, starting a new job, and like really saying goodbye to the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. So yeah, again, it's not necessarily like an action-packed book, which is why it's quick to summarize, but it is again very much. I feel like I've been saying this so much both on TikTok recently and just in these podcast episodes, but it's very much character driven. It really is all about her relationship with herself and her relationship with the other people that she encounters and in her life. So I know this book is a lit up for you. So I'm assuming there's probably quite a bit that you enjoyed. So I'm actually going to flip the script and start with things that you didn't like about the book, if there are any.
So I didn't like the beginning of the book.
Okay. That's true for a lot of
where
people.
Phoebe, it was just Phoebe. Because I was like, I don't really care for this character right now. And not until Lila enters the page was I like, oh, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like a darker part of the story because she's kind of in her head only and she's not really talking to people and she just has this plan to unalive herself. And she's, you know, reminiscing about the past a little bit and her infertility struggles, knowing that she cannot have children ever. And so she's kind of spiraling in all of that. And there is a point where, Lila comes in to the story and then things start to unravel for her plan. And she takes these cat sleeping pills. Do you remember what her cat's name was? I
do
keep
not.
forgetting.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That was also a sad part of the story. Like there was a lot of like tough subjects in here, but definitely made more light and funny to me.
Yeah.
So they were more easily digestible than someone who might have those themes in the memoir, let's say, because they tend to be just heavier.
Yeah. And like I said, too, she did a good job of giving us those moments where you can recognize that this is like a devastating moment or moments or memories for Phoebe and letting those sit for a moment and not like brushing over them, but also, again, somehow managing to help us find the humor in this thing we called life and how we respond to it. And yes, the beginning's tough, but I think it makes the rest of the novel better, giving us a chance to see where she was in this dark space and then having Lila blow in this whirlwind of like bridezilla-ness kind of and just taking over, because that contrast really gets you because you're like, where is this novel going? Is this going to be a really depressing spiral into despair for the entire novel? And then Lila shows up and she's like, hell no, you're not going to take your life in this hotel and ruin my bridal week.
Dare you?
How dare you? And you're like, oh, whoa, this woman, what? So I loved the juxtaposition of those two things and them coming together and forming what ultimately is a friendship. Very unexpected. So I loved the dynamic between the other thing I'll say too is that Lila is one of those characters for me that I wasn't sure how I felt about her for a while. I'm like, do I like this character? Can I not stand her? Is she like, she kind of existed in this weird space where I couldn't tell if I was enjoying her. I was like, thought she was annoying. And I actually really liked that because I hate when characters are too easy to figure out.
Yeah, I think that was the only thing that I didn't enjoy, but also it was just a necessary part of the story too. And
What
I
did you not
wouldn't cut
enjoy?
it out. The beginning of the
Oh, the
novel.
beginning. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So there's nothing else
Absolutely.
that comes to mind
Okay.
that I would mention.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, great. So then then what were the things that made this book a solid lit for you?
Well, the humor in it, I thought it was really funny. And it wasn't like, y- how do you describe this? It was just like people being people.
Yep.
And I just thought that was hilarious at some
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed when Phoebe came out of her shell a bit and was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
fuck it. Okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest with these people and da da
Mm-hmm.
da. I don't have anything to lose.
Yes.
And I really like that aspect of the story because it just was possible for
Yeah.
like truth and
Mm-hmm.
people to uncover their own truth.
Yeah.
And so just like she had that moment with Gary in the hot tub, she's like, you know what? He's kind of fuckable. So
So
I'm
I
just
want
going
to
to
fuck
say it.
him.
And then with Lila, she's always telling her like exactly what
Mm-hmm.
is up.
Yep.
And but the other aspect I really liked about it was that there was two things. But one is that I'm glad that Lila and Phoebe end up continuing to be friends and they're not
Mm-hmm.
like pitted against each other because
Yes.
Lila ultimately, you know, doesn't want to marry Gary, but
Mm-hmm.
has been with him for however long.
Mm-hmm.
And like Gary didn't cheat on her and things like that. Like
Yeah.
that was, I thought, good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one more thing too. Oh, yeah. Phoebe, I think, really shows a lot of empathy throughout the novel to all of the characters
Yes.
involved. And I loved that. And that's why she was good with Juice
Mm-hmm.
and just everybody. Jim,
Mm-hmm.
even, who was just a
Mm-hmm.
goofball.
Mm-hmm.
And even the mother, what was it? The mother and mother-in-law? Or
Mm-hmm.
no, it was the
It was the
mother
mother.
and
It was
then
mm-hmm.
the sister of Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so because she just has nothing to lose, and also she feels like she's in such a rut herself, like she's
Mm-hmm.
not in a position to judge others. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
like that came off really strong
Mm-hmm.
throughout the book. She's just like, okay, Juice has this toy that they're really upset that died. And
Mm-hmm.
so why don't we give it a funeral? Because they
Yeah.
clearly are upset about this.
Yeah.
And I just think she was just like being that kind, like empathetic person towards all
Yeah.
these people. And
Yeah.
honest too.
Yeah.
Like I remember she was talking to Marla at some point, who is the sister, Gary's sister. And she's like, why are you so mean to Lila? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
at the end, even like Juice and Marla were reflecting. They're like, is it because we were mean that
Yeah.
she called off the wedding? And
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of my favorite things about the book.
Yeah. Well, I think
Mhm.
the thing too, she, as you've basically been saying, is like she has no qualms now, kind of cutting through the bullshit and
Mhm.
calling things what they are. It's both
Yeah.
really healing for her, but then it also has such a positive impact on all of the people that she's interacting with
Right.
because they all have their own story, their own trauma, their own things that they're working through. And so
Mhm.
I like that the story is not just about Phoebe working
Mhm.
through, again, divorce, infidelity,
Right.
IVF, a job that has kind of stalled out. She's a professor and she hasn't gotten tenure and she's no
Mhm.
longer really publishing things. She's just stuck in a rut. But then you also see
Yeah.
Gary, whose wife has died, his wife we love so
Right.
much. And so he's also working through that. Juice, who's his daughter, is working through the
Mhm.
loss of her mother. And we see the ways that that manifests. And Lila, who looks like, kind of like the perfect little rich girl, right? She has
Yeah.
her own insecurities and her own issues with her family. And you see the ways that she's kind of using this relationship with Gary to maybe, fix herself or make her life something that she
Mhm.
thinks it should be, or, to make people happy. And so you see all of these people who are struggling in different ways. And I think, again, that's what leads to it feeling so human because
Yeah.
nobody in this book has their life together.
Right.
Like we all are, everyone is going through something. And I think the book makes that really clear. And as soon as Phoebe starts to let herself live authentically,
Mhm.
she is also
Right.
able to then engage with others authentically and fully and find joy and meaning and purpose and all of the things that we are looking for, right? As humans.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. And even to one little thing in regards to the plot summary.
Yeah.
So Jim is Gary's friend.
Yeah.
And Gary and Lila met at her mother's art gallery when Gary and Jim walked in one day. And what you end up finding out is that Jim has always liked Lila. And he was the one who was like trying to make a move.
Yeah. And took Gary with him.
Took Gary with him to this art gallery because he wanted to get to know Lila. But then he saw the way that Gary kind of connected with Lila, realized that Gary was in a rut after his wife had died and was just really struggling. Let Gary pursue Lila instead.
Sure.
And ultimately, you know, in the end, Jim and Lila have the potential of something working out there. So I think that's also an important part of the story to mention, a little subplot. But yeah, I liked the fact that this was a story full of messy human characters. Like that's essentially it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I actually really liked the ending and that it wasn't all just like beautifully wrapped up. Because it wasn't a romance novel, right?
No.
Like it wasn't this happily ever after that happened at the end. It was like Phoebe is onto the next chapter of her life, along with many of the other characters. Yeah. So Lila and Jim don't necessarily get together, but they potentially do because now there's an opening for them. And Gary and Phoebe probably stay in contact, but she's still doing her own thing. Like, what was the job she was going to take afterwards?
She's like taking care of this old, well, she's a guards keeper.
Like a grounds.
No, so she is basically, there's like this historical house, like estate in this town in Rhode Island. Yeah. Well, estate. Yeah. That she's been asked to take care of, look after. Yeah. And he specifically wants her because like her area of expertise is like, I think it's Victorian literature, but you know, connected to history. And so he thinks that she'll just have a true respect and understanding for this home. And so, yeah, she's just I think she's just there seasonally, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, it's like, we don't really know entirely how this is all going to work out. It's not like wrapped up with a perfect little bow. Yeah. But I think there's so much hope in this book. And that's why I loved it. Yeah. Phoebe's in her mid 40s. And a lot of people could be like, at that point, either stuck in a rut or just like, my life is what it is, right? This is just how I'm going to be living for the rest of my life. And the fact that she takes this moment to reinvent herself is really hopeful. It doesn't matter how old you are, what's going on in your life. Like, you always have the option and the choice to make different choices. Right. And to end things that need to end, to start things that you may have wanted to. And I think that's just, again, I know I've said this already like 5 times. It's really hopeful. I think a lot of people, once they hit middle age too, it's just like, well, this is the result of all my choices and now I'm stuck. Yeah. And I'm too old or too, you know, in a rut to reinvent myself. And this book is like, actually, there's a lot more. And I love that.
And while the like whole wedding setup is like very unlikely, the themes of the story are definitely happening for people in their 40s.
Yeah.
Right. So it definitely felt relatable. Not that I'm in my 40s.
We're slowly inching in that direction, but not yet.
Yeah. But I could see these types of like ideas and like essentially like midlife crisis almost, like thoughts kind of plague people in that time of their life.
Absolutely. Like, basically, have I screwed my life up and is it too late to start again or make different choices? And it's like, no, it's not too late. Unless you decide it is and you don't want to go through the growing pains of starting again and you know, adjusting your life. I did have a question for you though. So what were your thoughts, and I'm blanking on his name because you know me and names, but what were your thoughts about Phoebe's ex-husband?
Oh yeah, he's so fucking annoying.
What's his name? Do you remember?
I don't remember his name.
He's like so unimportant.
I knew that he was going to show up at the end, especially because he was calling her and she was like just turning her phone off. She's like, whatever, I don't want to talk to this guy. Yeah. I was like, why? I don't know. It just, I didn't like his character. I don't know if there or would have been a better way to portray him, but it was just like this guy definitely really sucks because he's like, I'm going to cheat on you because I need this. And then is like, wait, I'm not actually in love with her. I want you back. Like, it just,
Okay.
It
Well, the reason
irritates
why I
me.
asked is because I think I can see like initial reaction to him being like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, what a douchebag," but I again, I guess I love messy characters, complex characters. I don't think it's that
Yeah.
simple. So also again, a bit of context for folks who didn't read it. Her husband, again, whose name we can't remember, he ends up cheating on her with
Man X.
what was that?
Man X.
Man X. Man X ends up cheating on Phoebe with one of their colleagues, so another
Yeah.
teacher at the college, the university that they work at.
Mm-hmm.
And it appears that the reason why he's made this choice is because Phoebe can't bear him a child. And there's just been so much
Yeah.
stress and trauma and frustration around their IVF attempts and the realization that she's infertile and like that's not going to happen for them. And so this
Mm-hmm.
kind of laid out as like the motivation for him to have this affair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to be like, oh yeah, full stop. He's the bad guy. Like, what a horrible person. But I don't know. I had a lot more empathy for him,
Mm.
especially because as these things are happening, right? As Phoebe's starting to spiral and grow increasingly, again, depressed, frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
insecure around the fact that she's not able to bear this child and start a family with him, she also changes, right? The way that
Mm-hmm.
she's interacting with him, responding to him, treating him. And so I think it's easy to be like, oh, poor Phoebe. And again, as
Mm-hmm.
a woman, like obviously a lot of that rests with you. You feel the brunt of, not being
Mm-hmm.
able to bear a child. But he also is in this relationship and his wife is changing before his eyes and it's having an impact on him too. And I'm not excusing his behavior at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think the way that she wrote him, yes, you're frustrated with him. Yes, he's not necessarily a good guy, but I didn't just like flat out hate him. And even when he came back at the end and they have
Yeah.
this moment where he's talking through and reflecting on his choices, how he doesn't actually love this woman that he chose to be with, which by the way, she has a baby
Yes. She has a
and
child.
she has a child,
Mm-hmm.
a really young child. And so you can kind of see the appeal of him like getting to play dad, right, with this woman
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
Because she also was married. She also
Yeah.
had a spouse who was struggling with mental health. And so the two of them kind of found each other. So I don't know. I guess I just don't paint it in like broad strokes, like black and white. I think, yes, he made some poor choices, but I didn't hate him as a character. I
I
don't know.
definitely still, yeah, I hated him. And he also, like, when I'm thinking about this, and I do agree, like, they both went through infertility. It's
Yeah.
hard on a relationship and it's
Yeah.
hard on people as individuals.
Yes.
And so I understand why he would seek out an easier option
Mm-hmm.
or like a more appealing option, which is a
Mm-hmm.
woman who is a little more carefree and doesn't have this burden of infertility and
Mm-hmm.
has a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why he would make a decision like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not like that.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
And,
For sure.
yeah, I also think, yeah, when he came back, it didn't feel like you're talking about them having that conversation and
Yeah.
whether or not they could reconcile.
Mm-hmm.
But he just seemed kind of pathetic in that scene for me
Mm.
and didn't really see his wife, right? Like for who she was and what was going on
Mm-hmm.
for her.
Mm-hmm.
He was just really seeing himself still. And that's what I
Yeah.
noticed.
I mean, yeah,
So I was like,
I
don't like his
agree
character.
that if they had gotten back together, and they don't, but if they had
Mhm.
gotten back together, it definitely would have been an impediment to Phoebe's continued growth into herself, into this newer
Totally.
version of herself.
Mhm.
Like she would have slid back, I think, into old habits of mind and patterns of
Mhm.
behavior,
Right.
and that would have, yeah, I would just been like putting this old skin back on.
Mhm.
So I think I just appreciated that the writer Allison did give him a chance. I wouldn't say to redeem himself because I don't think he
Mm-mm.
does, but I think to give him a little bit more. I think if she had just had all of that happen, because there are flashbacks, right, in the story where we're seeing what
Right.
happened with Phoebe beforehand. So it does change.
Mhm.
There's two timelines. But I think if we had only gotten to see him in those moments and he didn't have a moment to talk through his choices, to acknowledge his wrongdoing, to ask for forgiveness, I think he would have been really one-dimensional. And so
Sure.
I think it was smart on her part, regardless of how you feel about him, that she offered that character that moment instead of just making him this like one-dimensional like villain, quote unquote, when in fact he's just a human, right? Who did a really shitty thing and wasn't the best partner that he could have been. So,
His
because
name is
again, he's
Matt.
not the only like quote unquote bad character in this book, right? Where people are treating other people poorly, and acting selfishly. Like we
Yeah.
definitely see that in other characters. So yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I was just curious about that because he's an interesting character. And we only ever see him through Phoebe's eyes until he shows up at the end. So yeah. I will say that I did like Phoebe's relationship with Juice.
Oh yeah.
And even though like maybe biologically she'll never be able to be a mother, getting to see the way that she was able to draw Juice outside of herself, a young girl who's still very much grieving the loss of her mother because it wasn't that long ago, and the ways in which they were able to connect and bring each other joy and understand each other. I just, I love that so much.
Yeah. Phoebe was the only person that Juice was really responding to.
Yeah.
Other than Marla. And of course, like, she's not going to like the woman after her
Lila.
mom.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been anybody and it would not have felt right because that was her mom. And she's still, what, a teenager? She's young.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, and we didn't say this, but like Lila is also young. Like she's significantly younger than Gary. There's an age gap there.
Yes.
Lila's in like her 20s and Gary is in his like 40s or something, or she's in her early 30s maybe, but there's definitely an age gap.
Yeah.
And so that also I think has an impact because like Lila is also figuring out who the heck she is.
Oh, yes.
And is definitely looking at this relationship and this marriage as a way to give herself some sort of like identity, which is problematic, obviously. And I think, I don't know, I think Juice is drawn to the fact again that Phoebe sees her, understands her as also, you know, growing into her authentic self.
Right.
And kids see that. Like kids can see through a facade a mile away.
Right.
They have no qualms about, again, calling you out on your bullshit. And so I love that we don't know what's going to happen, but like maybe she'll be Juice's stepmom in the future, you know, and still get to experience the joys of motherhood in like a non-traditional way. So I also really love that storyline.
Coming back to Lila and thinking about how her character developed as well, it just seemed the first time we met her was in this way where she was one-on-one with Phoebe and she was just very blunt with her, right? And very honest. And then as soon as Phoebe comes out to the wedding, like she realizes this is a different side of Lila that she doesn't show everybody else.
Yes.
And I really liked that. And how Phoebe noticed that. She's like, oh, Lila is like really holding back. Cause like when she talks to me, she's like, fuck these people, you know, and she noticed that right away, the difference. Yeah.
Which is interesting too, because not to make this a big thing, and I know men can do this too, but I think women do it more, where because of the way that we're socialized, like we have these expectations around like how we're supposed to behave and what is acceptable and what isn't.
Right.
And you see that so clearly with Phoebe, but also with Lila, where when they're around other people, they're, you know, just like unassuming and just people pleasing and so mindful of their P's and Q's. And then when they're on their own, or like you said, one-on-one with each other, it's just like, this is what I'm really thinking. And this is how I really feel about my mother-in-law. And this is what I, you know, and it's sad because I think a lot of women can relate to that. And whether it's like, oh, I have to be a certain way with my spouse, or I need to be a certain way when I'm with her colleagues, you know, Phoebe with her male professor colleagues right at the university and how she is expected to act, or like how women in academia are expected to behave, or like all of the stereotypes that are placed on them and gender norms are expected to fulfill. So the book also touches on that a lot. And you see that in both Lila and Phoebe. And again, I think it was just another really smart choice on Allison's part to include that. It can be hard to be just a straight shooting, blunt, honest, tell it like it is woman in the world, because then you're again like, oh, you're bitchy, or you're just like, I don't know, bossy or whatever, you know,
all of those things,
all of those things, and
drama.
And also just seen as this unattractive quality. So the fact they both ultimately were able to express that side of themselves was great. And the fact that Lila's starting on that journey a bit earlier and not waiting until she's like in her 40s is encouraging. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And imagine like people get married to people they don't love. And I was like, I don't know that this wedding is going to get called off like throughout the book. I wondered
Couldn't
if
tell.
that would happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, I'm glad that people did what was best for them.
Yeah.
But in real life, I think that happens way
all the
more
time.
often
Oh yeah.
than this ending.
Absolutely. Because I was also unsure the entire way through. I'm like, are they going to go through with this? Are they going to get married? Or are they not? And I could see it going both ways and being like, yeah, that both it tracks. It actually makes me think. So when I was traveling, I went and saw the new movie Materialists with it's with Dakota Johnson, like Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, and the gist of it is this woman.
What is it called? Sorry,
Materialists.
Oh, I love those actors.
Yeah, I did too, which is why we wanted to go see it. And it's like a romantic comedy. I don't know if comedy is the right word. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it good?
It is definitely a conversation starter.
Oh, okay.
For sure. Just about dating, relationships, online dating, marriage, just what the dating marriage relationship world looks like in 2025, right? So there's a lot of kind of smart things about it. I don't know that I connected with the characters per se, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is because at the very beginning of the movie, so Dakota Johnson is a matchmaker. And she's at the wedding.
Can you hear that? Sorry.
No, I can't hear. Okay. Is it Benito?
Benito is like grabbing one of his chew toys. Hold on.
We have a special guest. Benito has entered the chat, although you can't see him really because he's so dark. He's just this cute black pug. Hi, Benito.
Wanted to hang out with me and was like starting to get restless.
Come hang out and give us your feedback on this book, Benito. But anyhow, she's this matchmaker. And at the very beginning of the movie, she is invited to the wedding of this woman who, she matched.
Okay.
And the woman is like having this breakdown, right? Right before, of course, she walks down the aisle. So they're like, Dakota, get in there and tell her what you need to tell her. Yeah. And they have this beautiful conversation about why this woman is marrying this man. Yeah. And it's not necessarily for love, right? Yeah. She's like, I feel so bad saying this. And Dakota Johnson's like, I have heard every reason under the sun for why people get married. Like, lay it on me. It'll be a secret between you and me. And she's like, I like the fact that he makes my sister jealous. I like the fact that he's better looking than my sister's husband. Like, and she lists off all of these things that like nobody ever wants to actually admit and say out loud. Yeah. But are all things that can factor into why you choose to marry someone.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just love that because in our heads, like, oh, fairy tale wedding, you marry someone just because they love you and you're so passionate. And like, actually, people get married for a bunch of wrong reasons, a bunch of right reasons, a mix of both. And I think this novel also explores that. And again, made it that much more compelling.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we get to our reviews? Because as always, the reviews will say things and we're like, oh, we wanted to touch on this too, which is great.
Definitely. No, I don't think so right now.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then
it was a fun time.
I'm just still like over the moon that you enjoyed it. Cause I'm not sure. And we haven't read a lot of contemporary literature, like just on this podcast in general. Yeah. So I was very curious. Cause again, you're so hard to predict. You easily could have been like, I hated it. And I've been like, yep, that tracks.
This was awful.
It wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah.
So we're going to move into our literally the best or literally the worst segment. Kelsey will be reading 1-star reviews from Goodreads. I will be reading 5-star reviews. Again, just to add to our conversation and maybe touch on some things that we haven't touched on and kind of flesh out the discussion a little bit more. So I will go second. So we'll end on a positive note. So Kelsey, first 1-star.
Alrighty. So Maisha Farzana. Thank you. What?
No, the reason why I made that face is because I originally thought I was doing 1-star reviews and I pulled this one. So I know exactly what it says.
I was like, what? How did I get the name wrong? I don't know. How do you know?
You're good.
Like it's a random name. So funny. If you ever want to check out our YouTube
you
channel.
Can see all of the facial expressions we're making at each other.
Okay. Another super hype book that I really didn't like. The plot, beyond cliche. Woman gets cheated on by her husband, gets a divorce, thinks her life is over, and even contemplates suicide. Then, Out of absolutely nowhere, she magically finds some kind of motivation and embarks on this oh so predictable journey of self-discovery. The main character, Phoebe, was unbearable. She had no personality whatsoever, and the bride forgot her name, just screamed all the time. The audiobook, don't even get me started. It was atrocious. Every second of it deepened my misery, making an already awful book even worse. And the way the author handled sensitive topics like suicide and depression so nonchalantly, I felt offended personally.
Interesting. I definitely thought Phoebe had a lot of personality. And one of the things I loved about her is the way that she like just gives people nicknames.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
right.
neck pillow and like a high bun. And I don't know. I think she has a lot of personality, which again, at the beginning, you
That
don't
is
see it
true.
as much because she's
Yeah.
just starting to come out of her shell and come into herself,
Right.
which tracks. And then as it progresses, as she encounters Lila, you see her kind of, I don't know, coming into like full color and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
One person's opinion.
One person's opinion, and we appreciate it. So, my first 5-star review is from Chris. My lord, did I love this novel? Astute, smart, insightful, and funny as hell. Part social commentary, part reimagining of Bronte and Austen. It's all heart. A woman goes to a swanky Newport, Rhode Island hotel to kill herself and gets sucked into the massive wedding that will be occurring there later that week. A brilliant setup of the wedding industrial complex and a moving exploration of two women's transformations, the bride and the possible suicide. I treasured every page. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we didn't talk about, which isn't really that important, is the insane amount of money that people will spend on a wedding.
Yes.
And yes, just like
Yes.
how insane, if you step back and think about it, how insane the wedding industry is.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the way in which like prices are inflated, all of these things that people are trying to convince you that you must have in order to have an amazing wedding.
Right.
The fact that, I mean, this is a wedding celebration that takes place over a week, which is just, I can't even. And just how, yeah, it's just turned into this entire overpriced spectacle when at the heart of it, it's
Yes.
like, do you love each other? Do you want to spend the rest of your lives together?
Yeah.
Are you happy? All right, great. Yeah, okay.
So I got married last summer and I loved our wedding. And
I did
it was
too.
very small. It was very small,
It
but it
was.
was still expensive. And sometimes I do wish that we just had that money instead. But like I did love our wedding. It was very sweet and like very, what is the word I'm
Like
looking
intimate.
for? Intimate. Thank you. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I enjoyed that.
I was there. I can
But-
attest to it.
But did we need the table placements and all of that? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it,
It was
made for great
nice.
pictures. It was very cute.
But yeah, it was nice. But
Yeah.
So yeah, all those things. All right. My next one is short. The actually next three are pretty short.
Okay.
People just hated it and wanted to get out. This is from Andrea. I think I must have read a different book than the other reviewers, as I am in the minority. This is the worst book I ever finished. There is no plot and the characters have no depth. I am utterly disappointed.
Well, I mean, if you were looking for a plot-driven book, this
Yeah.
is for sure not it.
Yeah.
A whole lot doesn't happen. But if you're looking for, I don't know, fleshed out characters, I think they're pretty fleshed out.
I felt like we got to know why people were struggling and all of that. Like, of course, Phoebe is more in depth, but then even like Lila, we know she lost her dad, and that's been really impactful for her. And like you said, she's a people pleaser, and we get to the depths of that. With Gary, he's still grieving over his dead wife, and Juice like lost a mother, and like we see the fallout of that. Like I feel like the characters get a lot of.
I agree. And we get it, like you were saying, we understand their motivations for why they're behaving the way they are. And I would say not a single person, how they show up at the beginning of the book, your initial impression is the same by the end at all for any of them. You're like, oh, I was wrong about you, or I misjudged you, or I thought you were this way, but actually you were this way. Or like, that's why you were saying those things and behaving that way. So,
or even like Jim, who's just like a goofball.
Exactly. You're like, oh, Jim. And then you find out he has like all of this depth. All these things happening underneath the surface. So I would have to disagree with that. But thank you for that review. So my next one is from Court Zirk.
Okay.
And I cannot tell because this person didn't use quotation marks, and it's been a minute since I've read this book. So I cannot tell if this first little chunk is a quote from the book or if this
Okay.
is just the reviewer's own words. So here we go. The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself. So we lie to convince ourselves another reality exists. We act against our own best interest to prop up fabricated emotions. We bury our heads to protect our vulnerability. We do so many things to avoid seeing who we really are because who we really are is what scares us most. This book puts on a clinic and exploring all of those themes. Reading it was like looking at a 384-page mirror and being forced to answer some of life's most difficult questions. I know Phoebe's insecurity and depression. I understand her desire to break free from her interior hell to become someone new. I have lived in the debilitating throes of all-consuming self-doubt. I know Phoebe. And to watch her break free from those self administered handcuffs and transform into her fully realized self was therapeutic on so many levels. To watch her have such a beautiful impact on the people around her by simply being unfiltered and authentic was rejuvenating. It gave me hope when hope felt scarce. I loved this book, and I will hear no other opinions on it. This is one of the best things I've read in a long time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably so many people that could echo those sentiments that this person wrote in terms of seeing themselves in this character. And that's why it's so important to have different stories told and different representation and to not shy away from the challenges that life throws at us because we're all facing them.
Yeah.
In different ways. So
Yeah.
absolutely agree, Court. Thank you.
Okay. My third review.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I feel a bit tired this afternoon. Yeah. This is on a weekday, but it's our summer. And I did work this morning. So I came back.
I'm just jet lagged. I just got in last night from the East Coast. So,
oh man. So working things out. This is from M, semi hiatus. And it's a very, very short one. A pseudo-intellectual disaster where a serious topic like suicide is treated like a party trick. War criminals are glorified as heroes, and the real crime is wasting your time reading it.
Oh, that's right, because who served in the military?
That's what I was going to... I don't remember.
Oh, no, it's one of the... It's Gary's brother, right? I think it's Gary's brother. And they do talk about how he's celebrated for his service and it's a big deal. And I want to say it's Gary's brother. I could be wrong, listeners. I apologize. But maybe that's what they're referring to. But I feel like that's kind of overblowing it to say that we're celebrating war criminals, like I think or the book is. Okay.
Because, I mean, it doesn't go into his experience.
No, and it's not like granted, the people in his life are very proud of his service, and it does often come up when they're together. So maybe they are quote unquote glorifying it to an extent, but it didn't feel like I wouldn't have expressed it the way that that person did. And I think that's perhaps, over exaggerating.
I also wanted to dive into the topic of suicide. And just, I don't know, I've never personally been in like that space of contemplating suicide. And so I wouldn't know like what is maybe damaging, or what did they say? No, that it was just like
making light of something that was.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Just making light of like this really dark, deep topic. And I didn't feel that way throughout the book, but I'm curious for those like who have been in that space, if how they felt.
Yeah, about the representation.
Yeah.
Suicide. That's valid, because I also haven't been in that space. And so I can't speak to it from the I perspective. But, and I don't know if Allison has either, to be fair. I don't know. But I would say, and we've said this a million times on this podcast, and we'll probably continue to say it, that no one person's experience is the same as someone else's. And Phoebe's experience is not necessarily the experience of a person reading this book or another person reading this book, So I think to say that, suicide or suicidal ideation can only look this way, and if it's not written that way, then it's not accurate, is problematic.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all I would say. Because again, I don't have any other firsthand knowledge about it. And I don't even know if Phoebe knew ultimately how serious she was about taking her own life. You know, like she had it because there's different stages, and we talk about this even as we each year as we're getting trained on suicide awareness for our students.
Yeah.
You know, there's different stages to that process.
Right.
And I don't even know if Phoebe herself knew kind of how serious her intentions were. And that might have been why it seemed quote unquote easy for Lila to talk her out of it. So I think that's also something to think about too.
Yeah. But also, I don't think Lila talked her out of it, you know? Like, I think Lila gave her the opportunity to see something else is possible. Because she was still very much like gonna go through with the plan. She kind of did go through with the plan, even though that wasn't going to be successful in the end.
Yeah.
But in those first like few chapters, like she's contemplating it and like reminiscing about why she's wanting to go forward with this. And this is something we didn't say, but like I do think it is so important to remember that you can be influential on people's lives. And it wasn't in a straight like direct way because, you know, I've worked with a lot of students who experience suicidal ideation, you know, and so you see that in them. And I sort of saw them in this character because like what you were saying is that like even Phoebe didn't realize, you know, and I think that at least expressed by those that I've worked with, like that is a sensation. It's like, wait, you guys are like taking this too seriously. Like I'm not actually going to do it or like things like that where it's like, or it's not that big a deal, but they really are entrenched in these really deep, dark thoughts. But I also think that helping and aiding someone, just like any mental health like concern, like if you are depressed, right, the only way to not be depressed is like getting out of that cycle. And I think that's what Lila gave her, was she's like, okay, come to my wedding, come down here, interact with people, basically is what happened. And it really deterred her just because she was doing something different, I think.
Yeah. And like it offered her an alternate path that she, well, one she didn't have access to before, right? Because it was just like this very unexpected thing, which then opened up this pathway for hope and potential and other possibilities she hadn't considered. And also, again, it's not unheard of to help to talk people out of that headspace and help to show, like it happens, you know, successfully. It's why we have hotlines. It's why we have counselors and all of these things, therapists, et cetera, because it is possible. And so I think for a person who read this book to be like, oh, like she kind of, you know, made a different choice, even though she was so sure she wanted to do this thing. Like it seems unrealistic that she would change her mind. I'm like, but that happens. And it means that we have agency, both as people trying to be good friends and colleagues and allies and neighbors, right? It's not just like, oh, they've already gotten to a certain point, they're too far gone. Guess that's, you know?
And I think like reflecting back on, you know, the writing style and just thinking of what happened, I really think it was that Phoebe was honest. And that's what really opened the door, because she was really honest with Lila and then also Gary. And it's like, she's saying this out loud. And I think that has been proven to support those in depression or experiencing depression and suicide.
Yeah, because one of the things we talk about, not to go off too much on a tangent, but one of the things that they tell us during our training, like suicide prevention training, is that a lot of people don't even want to mention the word suicide. And they're like, if I say it, I'm going to put this idea in someone's head, and it's like, that's not true. And actually providing spaces where we can be really honest and talk about what people are feeling and that they might be potentially considering taking their own life. Like that's actually ultimately helpful versus just like, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. We're pretending this isn't happening. Can actually make that person feel more alone and isolated and misunderstood. So, okay. Anyhow, moving on to the next 5-star.
Yes.
Jennifer Tarheel Reader. Everyone is absolutely right about The Wedding People. I could not have loved this book more. In The Wedding People, the darkness of mental health struggles is not the focus. Instead, it's connection, humor, growth, understanding, love, so much love. There's so much to love about these characters. This story will make you feel good, but it's not in a high, only one note. Easy story way, though it's highly readable and perfectly written. This is a carefully tenderly drawn story with substance out the wazoo. I'm on a reading roll right now, and this was another favorite for me this year. Phoebe's insights into marriage and separation made me feel seen, and this story of opening her new chapter gave me a lot of hope for my own. Oh, I love that. Yes. This book is all about connection, humor, and growth and understanding and love. Like it really is. Like couldn't have said it better myself. And I think for her to articulate it so concisely, it's just like, yes, thank you so much, Jennifer.
My final review is from Ty. So confused by the high rating of the book. Maybe you have to read it at a certain time in your life to appreciate it. In parentheses, if your husband just cheated on you, maybe this book is for you. But I thought it was awful. There's not a single likable person in this book. The main character is so bland and boring that I imagine her speaking in monotone every time she spoke. I could go on and on and on and on, but I think I've already wasted enough time on this book.
So I hear this a lot in a lot of reviews and just like in general, when people are giving feedback on a book, like the characters weren't likable. And I always want to be like, what does that mean? Because obviously that can mean different things for different people.
He didn't say likable. He said bland and boring.
No, but before that, he said
did.
he said like none of these characters are likable. And I would love to ask him what his criteria or what his definition of likable is. Because sometimes I feel like people say that characters aren't likable because they're messy or because there's not something in it that they personally can relate to, which makes sense because you're not going to relate to every character you read. So I would love to know because I hear that a lot in reviews and in people's feedback. And I'm like, I'd love for them to be more specific and say exactly why. He said she's bland
and boring, which
I mean, I don't see that in the book, but okay, I guess like, I thought she was very witty and incisive and had just a sharp eye, like her observations were just on point of people, but okay. All right.
And also I think to reduce this book to maybe if your husband cheated on you, you would like this book.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't
just
like that.
ugly. Like, what?
I know. It's kind of insensitive, to be honest.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, like you said, reducing this book to just one thing, which it's not. Okay, last 5-star. This is from Jonas. I love a good transformative story, and The Wedding People knocks it out of the park. It deserves all the awards and accolades. The Wedding People tackles big issues. It is equally dark as it is funny. Depression is a major thread in the narrative and could be considered a secondary character. Phoebe wants to escape her depression by going to a happy place, and her definition of a happy place is a place she's never been. I've been to Newport and loved that I was familiar with the places the characters spent their time. A great quote connected to this aspect of the plot is, quote, "When you are happy, everywhere is a happy place. When you are sad, everywhere is a sad place," unquote. This is a perfect book club book. I strongly suggest at least buddy reading. There are so many phrases to text that your buddy will either be like, and then she has a series of emojis. It's like crying emoji, laughing emoji. And if they haven't reached that part, I am sure the phrase will encourage them to read extra. Some examples are hot tub, human princess, saving Shakespeare, and the sex woman. The Wedding People.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that part.
We will. The Wedding People is a book about saving and rediscovering the person we want to be. It is a memorable read. The author has a way with words. It was an amazing reading experience. So yes, we do have to talk about the sex woman, but really quickly, I do love that quote. It sounds really simple and maybe even trite, but it is so true. Like when you're happy, everywhere is a happy place. When you're sad, everywhere is a sad place. And it really speaks to the fact that our interiority and where we are in our emotional and mental lives, we just project that out, right? So there is no like place that is like technically externally a happy place. We make it that way based on what's happening on the inside. And again, such a simple thing, but something we often forget and are looking for external things to make us feel those things.
And it's hard to remember that when you're in dark places, like experiencing depression.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. But yes, the sex woman.
How did we completely forget?
I don't know. You read this book more recently than I did. So why don't you tell people what the sex woman is, Kelsey?
Okay. So on the Bachelorette night, It's funny, like the relationship with Lila and Phoebe. Like Lila's like, here's all the information for the Bachelor at night. Make sure it's perfect.
Oh yes, because she makes Phoebe ultimately the maid of honor. We should say that.
Oh yes. And so Phoebe's like calling places and stuff, and the only on-screen or like in the book writing is calling the sex woman, right? They call it sex woman, right?
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be like this like exploration of your sexuality and relationship with your partner. And if you were lacking partner, then, you know, you went inward for just your sexuality on your own. And it was really insightful and I thought it was such a good idea. What were the questions that she asked though? I can't even remember because I felt like I remember Phoebe like answered first, I'm pretty sure. And then everybody was talking about their sexual life essentially.
Yeah.
And Marla was in the room, and it turned out that she had been sexting her husband to try to like increase desire for each other and their like sexual life. But yeah, I just don't remember what Phoebe said.
I don't remember, but essentially like the gist of it is that everyone's thinking that it's going to be like a sex party. Like maybe they'll be like, I don't know, strippers, like a typical bachelorette party. And instead it really is this woman helping them embrace and explore, like you were saying, their sexuality and their sexual lives in a way that's like really healthy and constructive and helping to break down shame that women often have like around themselves as sexual beings.
But then
yeah, go ahead.
I also think that they all sort of opened up a bit in this conversation around their sexuality.
Yeah.
And like,
and it gives them greater like insight and understanding for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really beautiful moment and also kind of funny.
Yes, it was very funny and just a nice little moment.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this book does such a great job on so many levels, like in such a, because it's not a super long book and in such a short time, she does touch on so many different issues in general, but also like different aspects of like being a woman and also the different roles that we can hold as women, whether it's a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, all of these things and what they can mean and those relationships with each other. I just love this book. And if you haven't read it, I think you should. I think depending on your age and where you are in your life, you may connect with it more or less. But I think overall it is a solid, well-written book that will also make you laugh.
Yeah.
When you least expect it.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think I can speak for both of us and say we'd both recommend it. Would that be accurate, Kelsey?
Yes, I recommend this book.
Okay. So yeah, final recommendation. Both Kelsey and I give it our stamp of approval. Yeah. It's got the lit it or quit it stamp of approval, lit vibes only stamp of approval.
Oh my God, we should get an actual stamp.
What are we going to stamp though?
Our books. Put it on social media.
We can maybe at some point when we have merch, we'll have like a lit it or quit it book stamp. That'd be super cute.
That would.
But yeah, we love this book. Love
library.
that Kelsey loved it, and definitely let us know on our socials. If you haven't, Kelsey, do you want to let folks know once again where they can find us on social?
Yes. So our socials, we are on Instagram at litvibes only _podcast.
Yeah.
And on TikTok and YouTube at Lit Vibes Only Podcast, where you can interact with us, comment on our posts, engage, share things. We'd love to hear from you. Yep. And of course, go back to where you listen to this podcast and rate and review. And we will be forever grateful.
We sure would. Yeah. And also if you're on Spotify, since you can't review the whole podcast, you just leave comments on an episode, you could comment on this episode and let us know your thoughts on this book, especially if you've read it, right? If it's like a lit it or quit it for you, that's a great place to leave your feedback right after you've hit that 5-star rating. We would love that. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.